Good morning and welcome to Trading with Larry. It's Larry Benedict, joined by Eric Shamilov. Sorry we're about a minute late. I was in makeup. They were putting makeup on me and I couldn't get out. And I'm only kidding. They're not putting makeup on me.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I don't know. You don't strike me as a makeup kind of podcast.
they always tell me I don't need makeup, so I'm happy about that. But overall, we're here.
Are we
Happy to be.
are we podcasters or are we traders? Sometimes I forget.
What do you mean? I'm both. It's a beautiful transition. It's kind of what I always wanted. I always wanted to have the ability as I got older to teach people, to show people what we're looking at, and to sort of educate, inform, and guide people in what I think are better ways to make money. And the bottom line is, I'm able to do that. So I'm a trader by day and a podcaster in the morning and at night. But
With
anyway,
me, with me, it was just like you saying, "Hey, we're doing a podcast." I'm like, "Okay, no problem."
hmm. Well, I'm happy to do it. I actually enjoy it. It gets me ready for the trading day, which I like. You get me a little agitated, which gets my trading blood going, and I'm able to trade and make money. But it's interesting. A lot to talk about this morning. Obviously, Besant did his pink tutu dance. How they had unbelievable meetings, and they have the framework for a trade deal. I mean, what's amazing to me that the market keeps buying this. It keep buying it, buying it, buying it, buying it, and it just shows me that the market is so skewed to the buy side that it's unbelievable. Because if you remember on Friday, I basically outlined exactly what was going to happen. And I didn't even think the market would rally off that. I said they would meet and they basically come out and say they have the framework for a trade deal. I think I actually used the word framework. Okay. So it's kind of weird to me, but this is the same exact thing they said four other times in Europe. Same thing, nothing happened. The only difference this time is I actually think there's a lot more on the line because Trump is meeting Xi, okay? And I know you don't believe this, but this meeting was called by us, this meeting was run by us, and this meeting was basically laid down by us, and we laid down to them, okay? And basically begged them for, rare earth and a trade deal and all this other stuff, which people are not seeing. Okay, they're not seeing
Yeah,
it.
I don't know. I don't know, dude. I mean, you and I go back and forth on who has the upper hand, China or the U.S. Like, China's definitely gaining a bigger hand in the relationship, but you look at what China has in terms. You say like, why does China need us? They need us for those H20 chips. They don't have
They're
anything
never
even.
getting it. They're never buying H20 chips. They're not
They don't
buying
have
them.
anything better.
They're
They don't
low
have
end Nvidia chips. Low end Nvidia chips. They're not buying H20 chips. Okay, it's not happening. Okay, maybe they'll say they're doing it, but that's not the chip they're looking for. That's like a low end. That's like you buying the lowest end. TV. You're not
right.
getting a Sony or a
That's
Samsung.
what we're
Why
willing
do
to
they
give
want
them
it? Why do they
because they're
want
not
it?
better. They just don't have anything better.
Oh, okay. Well, trust me, don't underestimate them.
And
Okay.
to
They
train those
will have
AI
something a lot
models, you
better.
need something like the H20 to train those AI models, which they need to train.
Listen to me.
So I
They
don't know.
are
They need
doing
us
it.
too.
Why are you saying it? You're saying that they're a threat to us in AI. They're ahead of us in AI, but yet they don't even have the H20 chip. So what do they need it for if they're doing a good job? I don't really want to riff on this because it's not even we don't even know at all. Like the H20 chip isn't even anything that was discussed. I mean, it basically is us laying down, us needing rare earth, okay? And listen, let's back up a little bit, okay? Let's talk about what happened on Saturday, okay? Trump got pissed off at Canada because they ran a Ronald Reagan ad basically telling the truth that tariffs are very bad and you should not use them. Okay, he got angry about that and tariffed them instantly 10%. So my question is, you knew he wasn't real with China, and you know he doesn't have the upper hand, because if he did, he would have gone, I'm really mad. China did this, this, and this. You're at 150%, but he didn't do that. He basically gave him 3 weeks. Okay. And in that 3 weeks, there's a meeting. But I'm not so sure this is going to roll exactly the way people think. And the way the market's reacting is reacting that this is 100% a done trade deal. It's an amazing deal. No one knows what it is yet, Eric, but it's an amazing deal. Amazing. Whatever it is. The same amazing deal that we've had 6 or 7 times during this whole run. Okay. I mean, this doesn't, like, I know you think it's good, whatever. I mean, it's the same deal we've had the whole time, every time. And it's
Exactly. Exactly. The market hasn't cared about the absence of a China deal for the last 8 months.
But it rallies every time there is a fake China deal or a potential deal, or they have the framework for a deal. I don't know. The market is up. Nasdaq's up 25% after being down over 35% on a year. I mean, listen, I'm not saying the news is good, bad. The news is whatever. They don't know what they have yet. These two can meet and nothing can come out. And they could be like, okay, we're going to go back to the negotiating table, or okay, we got the framework, for a deal. You know what's going to happen, but it's not real. They're going to sign some kind of document in front of everybody that they have a comprehensive trade deal. Yet, ironically, they're going to make a deal with China, which will not stick and will not be real. Okay. It will not be real. Okay. Because come on, what's been going on I mean, how does this not get you freaked out? Nothing has happened for 8 months. 8 months. They've had at least 6 of these meetings, at least in the last 8 months, maybe more. Okay. Nothing has happened. It's gotten worse and worse and worse, from what Trump is saying, worse and worse, right? They go to Malaysia. They literally sat down. I'm my under over is under 2 hours, okay? And they come out with a framework for a deal, which I don't know what that actually means, and neither you, but some framework for a deal. That, which everyone in the world knew was going to happen, including me and probably you. Okay. But that doesn't put us any different right now than we were a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. And even, listen, I'm telling you, this is China on a slow play. They're just slow playing this. Okay. They're going to work out the details of the deal. Da, da, da. Let me ask you this. What does Trump want from China? Just to answer that, what does he want?
He wants them. There's a lot of things. Soybean purchases. By the way, soybeans are up today. I don't think that's the trade to make, but soybeans are up. It's going to be interesting to see. You know what's interesting about soybeans? They're at the same exact spot price they were at uh, as back in 2018 when
They've been
Trump
at
was
the same
president.
price, dude. I told you they were beans in the teens in 1980. So they were higher in 1980 than they are right now. So I don't see
So
anything there.
soybean purchases, stopping fentanyl. All right.
How are they going to stop fentanyl? Come on, you're a smart guy.
Shipping out the ingredient. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I think they're
You
shipping
think
out
the
the ingredient.
government is producing fentanyl to sell to the United States?
I think
I mean,
they're
come on,
shipping out the ingredients, and if you think they're shipping out those ingredients purely for capitalistic reasons and not to actually make fentanyl, which infiltrates our borders, I think you'd
dude.
be sadly mistaken.
Fentanyl is being made by illegal drug dealers that are shipping it in from everywhere. And we're blaming China, but it's coming in from Mexico. It's coming in from Canada. It's coming
Where's
in
where do the
from
ingredients
South
come
America. Come on, dude. Whatever. Listen, this podcast is going to go totally sideways because
from? Already
I don't
sideways.
think China is selling us all the fentanyl. No other fentanyl is coming in
I
other than
didn't.
China.
I said ingredients, but okay,
Dude, what?
ingredient.
Okay, the ingredients, and how are you going to stop them from doing that? And why would they do that? Why would they do that as a government? What's the point? I mean, did you see the number that came out of China today? Their industrial production number was off the chart. Okay,
Okay.
which means basically they're trading all over the place. okay, without us. That's what you're not getting. I keep saying this, that they are all set up doing what they're doing. This is not a month that they've been dealing with this. 8 years. 8 years they've been doing workarounds. 8 years. These
That's
guys are
right.
smart. These guys are smart. They do not need us. But going back to what does Trump need? What does he want? He wants tariffs. He can't take the tariffs off China. He needs the revenue. Okay. But really, the original reason for the tariffs was to bring jobs back to America. How is China going to bring jobs back to America? Tell me. I mean, what are they doing? Like, it does. What's the whole way this works is Apple has a factory there, XYZ has a factory there. Everyone is making products there because it's cheaper. Okay. It's not them ever making products here because all the companies that are doing the major business there are US companies. So I'm just lost at, at what we're trying to do here. I think the best course of action is to tariff the hell out of them. Okay, go to 100%. Okay, make them feel some pain and make them kowtow to us. I mean, the bottom line is they've been dealing with 55% tariffs, but I don't know how. Let me ask you, like what you're asking.
Are we back to the 55 now after this preliminary deal? Or
No, we're always at 55. Dude, Trump Taco
no, because
Bell
he's
for
threatened
November 1st. Those
right.
tariffs don't go on until November 1st. They know they can't put them on. And they know they can't put on 100%. Okay. It's even Besson said it's unsustainable. So it's also unsustainable at 55%. But my thought is like, why are we kowtowing to these guys? They're not stopping fentanyl in your world. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. How could they stop fentanyl? Honestly. Well, let's be serious. This country has a massive drug problem. Massive. Okay. And it's coming in from everywhere. I mean, come on. You're seeing them blow boats up coming out of like Venezuela or wherever it is. They're blowing drug boats up left and right. So drugs are coming into this country all over the place. So I don't know. Maybe they're part of the problem, but they're not the problem. And the bottom line is I just don't listen.
It's interesting with that Reagan ad from Canada. You got me thinking about it. Do you think like if Reagan was the president in 2025 with a much stronger China, that he would have the same stance on tariffs?
Yeah, because I think tariffs are a tax on our own country. I think it, and I thought that that's what he thinks going way back. Okay, I don't think it's changed,
That
but
was
it
a
does.
time when manufacturing was still in the
Eric,
U.S.
listen? Are we a communist country? Why are we stopping free
I
trade?
hope not. I hope
Well,
not.
why are we stopping free trade? If someone wants to manufacture in China, blah, 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 let them do it. Okay. We're stopping Apple. We're asking Apple to move. They can't move to India now because we're in a massive fight with India. Okay. So, where are they moving to? But I'm just shocked that the market has this. It's not a huge reaction. We're up under 1% in S&P and 1% ish on NASDAQ. They could take that out in 10 minutes, but I'm not understanding what do they like. Let's just back up. What do they think is going to come out of this thing on Thursday when they meet? What do you think? They're going to get a fully signed, comprehensive trade deal of what? Like there are so many open issues that haven't even been addressed. I'm
That's true.
just not. I'm not sure what's going to happen, and I think the market is set up in every way right now for a problem in the sense that you got the Fed. Okay. The Fed is what, Wednesday? So the Fed is Wednesday, right? They're going to cut a quarter. It's pretty much in the market. But should they really cut again? Like, how can they keep cutting with no data? Like, I keep looking over to the right on my Bloomberg, and there hasn't been data for a full month. I mean,
We
we're
had,
on,
by the
we're
way, we
on
had CPI Thursday, right? You and I didn't talk about it, but what'd you think of that one?
Rigged. I mean, come on. They brought the number down by a couple of different components, but if you look at Trump keeps saying groceries are going down, groceries are going down, but you want to know what? Groceries are going straight up. Okay, straight up. Rents are going straight up. Insurance premiums are going straight up. I mean, the number at 3.0, if you annualize that, that's like 3.6. Okay. The Fed's mandate is 2. Inflation is running double the Fed's mandate. So I don't know why they're running in to cut rates with a stock market that goes up literally every day. I think we've had one down week in the last like 3 months or at least 2 months. So I don't know why is the Fed rushing in to cut rates? I'm just, you're going to tell
By
me
the
weak
way,
job
you want to talk about inflation and stuff going up? Look at this, dude. This is DRAM prices. They have doubled. DRAM is short term memory chips, right?
market.
This stuff has doubled in 2 months. And you look at Samsung, right? This is what's driving Samsung, Micron. This is why. It's because of this. So
Yeah, but
it's interesting.
let me ask you a question. Doesn't that take these guys out of the market? Like, who's going to be able? Like, it was funny. The reason why Oracle got a little choppy, okay,
This is, yeah. Go
that
ahead.
nobody paid attention to Oracle, what they were saying, but they were basically saying they can't even buy Nvidia chips because they're losing money buying Nvidia chips. They're too expensive. So if DRAM is doubled, I mean, doesn't that take the buyer out of the market? I mean, or hurt the buyer? And that's the thing. And to look around and not see inflation at these levels doesn't make any sense to me. And the whole Fed thing doesn't make sense why they're in a rush to cut rates. I mean, I think he just can't take it anymore and he's folded his card, um, Powell, and he can't take Trump anymore. But really, the only thing that looks a little weak to me maybe is the jobs market. And that will always remain weak moving forward because of, you know, basically companies. Listen, I saw Target on Friday or Thursday laid off 1,800 workers in the corporate division, not like workers in the store, workers in the corporate division. And basically, they're being able to cut this stuff down. You know why, Eric? Because they say AI. The AI is helping them or whatever. So I don't know, other than maybe jobs being weak, which the Fed can't even tell because the BLS is not compiling the data. So in reality, they don't know. We could have had another positive jobs number this month. Who knows? But with inflation being where it is, it's a little bit scary. The market to me is a little bit scary, or the Fed is a little bit scary because they're not taking into account anything. And it's funny, they went from a Fed 6 months ago that refused to cut rates, refused, to a Fed now that is laid down with no numbers and is going to cut rates. So I really think it's more important out of the meeting what the mantra is for year end. And I believe they're going to put that rate cut um, on the table. Basically,
You mean the one for December?
yeah, they're gonna put it on the table and it's gonna be discussed. It's not a guarantee like what Fed funds futures are saying. So I think this is an interesting week. We got big earnings. I think we have four of the Mag Seven. We got what do we got? We got Amazon, Meta, Apple, Google. I think so that's four out of the seven. Um,
Amazon is interesting because you mentioned jobs and the effect of AI on jobs and all of that. Amazon is not, I think, a third of their workforce, if I'm not mistaken, within 5 to 10 years, they're either gonna uh, get rid of or not rehire. Uh, a third. We're talking about Amazon, so this is what AI is seeking to do. I mean, they're seeking to displace the $50 trillion global job market and kind of seeing that. I mean,
All,
Tesla's going to.
all, all I would say is it's funny. I was out to dinner with my family and they were doing something on ChatGPT. And literally, one of my sons turns to me. He goes, "This stuff stinks." He goes, "All the information is horrible." It's like, I forgot what we were trying to, I call it Googling because it really is Google. And I think Google, AI power is better than ChatGPT by a mile. But they were on ChatGPT. They couldn't even get the answer. They were trying, I forgot what it was. I have to figure it out for the next podcast, but they couldn't even get any information off it that was current.
You got
So,
you gotta include you gotta tell ChatGPT to include all sources after every request, and it's
okay,
forced.
whatever, they couldn't get it. He was frustrated. He said this is BS. So I don't know. I don't know how great it is. How great. All they wanted to do is Google information. That's it. So
Larry,
ChatGPT.
I could upload a time series of prices on something and ask it, give me top three.
Good, and you know what, dude? And you're gonna do that, and you're gonna rely on that, and that's maybe why you're not making money trading or whatever's gonna happen because you're relying on that. Okay, what if it's wrong? What if it gives you bad information?
What am I not making?
I'm saying if you do that and you don't make money, you're
Right.
relying on that information to make money. You don't even know if it's correct. Go on ChatGPT. You can even put me up. It says I worked at like Bear Stearns. Okay, I never worked at Bear Stearns. I don't know where they're getting their information from. Okay, it's not pure, dude. It's just not pure. So how do they have me working at Bear Stearns? Okay, I never worked at Bear Stearns. Okay, I'm just saying. So you're relying on information that you don't know 100% if it's pure information. That's all. That's all. I don't want to argue it, but that's what it
Well,
says.
I I think it's an issue. I think there are workarounds on the prompt, but whatever. I think that Tesla coming out with the driverless cars, it's like the first visible moment where AI is going to be interacting with the physical world. And I
Listen, I
think that's
gotta
a
tell you what, if I'm in the back of that Tesla vehicle, which I know from Waymo or whatever, these people are in it, they're comfortable. I'm a little freaked out. I gotta be honest with you. I'm not that comfortable. I got no one to talk to. I can't tell the guy to slow down. I I can't do anything, and I'm praying that the system doesn't fail or there's a glitch. Okay, so I'm a little uncomfortable with that, to be honest. So we'll well, I'm going to let you go out and do the Waymo before me. So you'll let me know.
Waymo.
People have done it, said it's
Waymo
great,
to
but
Tesla. You can't compare. Tesla's about way ahead of Waymo.
no, I thought they're using Tesla vehicles like these
Yeah, but
taxis.
you can like mess with Waymo. You can't really mess with a Tesla.
I have no idea. But anyway, let's talk a little market. Interesting trade. The 10-year note is above 4% again. It got down to almost 392. Above 4. The question is the Fed is cutting on Wednesday. Rates are backing up, which is really weird. And it's kind of the same trade that happened the last time where rates backed up to almost 4.25 on the last cut. And I think it's kind of the same thing. And I think this is indicating in general that this is not a full out rate cutting cycle, meaning they're going to take Fed funds down to 3 or lower. Like my question to you is think about this. And I've been trading for 40 years. So I would say the average Fed fund rates over 40 years is 5% ish. Okay. So right now we're lower than that. So we're not in the red zone. The red zone is like 2.5 or lower means we're in a total financial calamity and they got to take rates to a unseen place. And obviously you saw multiple times in the last decade and a half that rates have been at zero, pretty much. Okay. We're not at zero, not even close. But my question to you is why would the 10-year be above 4 if we're going to take rates down into the low threes? So I don't think that we're going to go there. And I think Wednesday may be more important than people think right now because really they backed the, think about this. They started the year, they said 6 to 8 cuts or whatever, or 6 cuts for the year. We had like zero in the bank until last month, right? Um, Now maybe we get 2 or 3. Everybody's bulled up. This is what's funny to me, Eric. Everybody's bulled up. Like I watch Bloomberg and they're like, "Oh, they get these guests on. Oh, they're cutting rates. They're cutting rates." But in reality, did they cut rates the way they thought? No, because they were looking to have rates down under 3% this year. And then my better question is, why, if rates go to 3%, is that such a good thing? Isn't that a bad thing? I mean, why would rates being at 3 be a good thing? Doesn't that mean that's signaling like the red light that we have caution here, that you got to be careful because the economy is teetering on a recession?
Well,
Nobody
that's why they're cutting. They're cutting because of the jobs, the decline in jobs growth.
Eric, but
Uh,
they haven't seen the number, so they don't know. They don't know. Last month they could have created jobs. Who knows? I'm not saying they did. The month before we had very negative ADP, we had very negative jolts, and we had a positive jobs number. This last month we had, a a number that was a little bit weaker. We never saw the jobs number, but who knows what it is? What I'm saying to you is the Fed doesn't know. The Fed is blind as a bat, okay, right now. And their mandate is basically to act off of data, current data, and they don't have it. So doesn't it freak you out that they're making moves with no data? They have a CPI number, but it's, who knows? They don't have a PPI number. They don't have PCE numbers. They don't have any numbers. And the government is basically shut down on top of
I
it.
I don't think they ever use good data. To be honest with you, I think the data, even when it's available to them, the data itself is it's a little bit late to the punch. You know,
But it's
and
data that they're using. They got to sit in a meeting and start talking about, hey, what was the PCE? What number?
also right, right, but
Well, what are
also
they talking about? What are they talking about? Me and you are the Fed now. Hey, Eric, well, let's guess what the unemployment number is. And hey, what do you think the PCE number could have been? I mean, come on, it's
I
ridiculous.
also the fact that they use data to begin with, and they're so boxed in to this data.
Well,
It's
they're
a little
obviously
bit.
not boxed in if they're cutting rates off of no data.
Well, the example I was going to use was back in 2021. They kept calling inflation transitory because they were looking at data, but they weren't going to the grocery store. Like, I don't get it. So this is where that's an example where data and their process is like garbage in, garbage out. So
So then, what do you
maybe
want their process to be?
maybe it's a good thing that they don't have data right
I
now.
understand, but what is their process then? Guessing? Like what they're guessing how much inflation is out there? They're guessing about everything? I mean, come on, dude.
Hundred
Whatever.
percent, they're getting 100%. They had the official inflation target is a 2%, correct? You
Yes.
ask you ask every Fed official what should the target rate be. I bet you none of them say 2%.
Well, 2% is the average because they had inflation under control for years and years and years. And then in 2023, 2022, inflation went off the rails. It got up to almost 10%. How could inflation, I'm just going to ask you this question. How could inflation have been 9% back then, but now it's 3? I mean, come on, inflation is twice as bad as what it was then. I mean, my tea has doubled in a year. Okay, just one item. I mean, come on, it's crazy. So I mean, inflation being at 3 is probably the biggest lie that we're seeing right now because you're feeling it. Everyone's feeling it. Rents are up, insurance is up, car prices, everything is up because especially because of the tariffs. So I don't know. Listen, I don't know how inflation could be so low or as low as what they're saying. And low is not low. We're literally double the Fed's target. So
I just wanted to pull up this chart. This is rates on the top panel, oil on the bottom panel, because we were talking about you were talking about the 10-year above four. I think in the short term, what got rates above four was oil, and you could see this relationship over the last 20 days, and it's a persistent enough relationship to pay attention to. Oil and rates tend to move together. And I think that's what got, in the short term anyway, just in the last week, I think oil had a lot to do with the 10-year getting up to above four.
Yeah, but that's a non Eric. We went from 396 to 401. That's not a move. Oil went up 15% in 3 days. Okay. It went from 56 to 62 and a half in 3 days. I mean, that's a huge move, which
That's what I'm
leads
saying. So
me.
maybe you watch oil. If it starts to fade off, maybe bonds are a nice buy.
I don't think there's a correlation there, but if that's what you think, then that's the way to play it. I don't see a correlation there very very much because rates move point 0.5 of a 5 bips and oil move 15%. I mean
That's
literally 15%.
that's a great point. That is a great point.
So whatever. I don't see a lot there, but let's talk about let's talk about some of these other markets, since we sort of talk tariffs and you know um you know all of that. So
Gold is down.
obviously we talked about, what was that?
Gold is down, kind of.
Gold came back. Gold was down 100. Now it's only down like 75 or 80. Again, I know we're a little bit in disagreement. I still say lower. I still say, it's going to lose the 4,000 handle at some point. If it doesn't, we'll quickly flip the move and then get a little bit bullish. I just think, again, I actually got long it late in the week. And I got to be honest with you, you weren't as nervous as I was, but I was nervous long. I was not feeling that comfortable. Kicked it
Yeah,
out
not.
on Friday. Thank God. And really, trying to get short the equity market a little bit here. I just think it's priced for over perfection. It's interesting, when we're talking about other markets, all of Europe is lower. Not a lot, actually, medium lower, not a little, but not a lot, but lower. Um, the only market that really was up overnight was like Asia, was the Nikkei, and some of the other markets there. I just think they're pricing in, utter perfection right now. That's just what I see. You had the Nikkei up 2% last night, a little bit more. Yeah, Hang Seng up 1%. The other markets kind of flat. I don't know. I just think they're pricing in, like, I don't know. Like, let me ask you this. Think about this for a second. The market's up 55, 60 spoo handles. The Nasdaq's up percent and change. They didn't do anything other than say, they have the framework to potentially do a deal. Okay. But my question is, what would we be up if they signed the deal? And then what? Then it would only go negative from there, because the only thing that could happen from a signed trade deal is violations and bad things. So it's almost better for the US stock market that they don't sign a deal. Because once they sign the deal, what's going to come from that? Like, I'm not understanding. Right now we're tariffing them at 55%, right? That's a pretty good tax. Okay. It's effective. It gets done what you need to get done. Now you do a trade deal. What are they going to go down to? 30%, 25%? Where are they going? Like, they're going to lose half their revenue from China. So I'm not exactly sure why they would want to negotiate such a trade deal when they're really putting the screws to them, right?
Yeah, China, I think, wants the tariff rate to be on par with the global average that Trump is tariffing everyone else.
Right.
So I think that's going to happen. As you said, the tariff rate is probably going to come down.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I don't think it will. I don't think that it will. I think that that it's going to basically stay where it is, maybe come in a little, but they need that revenue and they need to put the screws to them. And I keep saying this, and I truly believe this. I don't think they're going to honor any deal that they do. Any deal. I know they're
Well,
going to come back. They're going to come
wasn't
back
there
and say this.
wasn't there a probe into China complying with the 2018 agreement? What happened to that? To
Nothing.
your
I mean, come on. That just came out. They're going to sue China. Okay, good luck. You're going to sue China. Okay, good luck. So I think it's just rhetoric. I think it's very funny. It's almost like I feel like the market is just ridiculous. Like literally since 5 in the morning, the Nasdaq future, which is up over 300 points, hasn't moved $20. It's just sitting here and sitting here. It's like it's unbelievable. I mean,
come on,
actually
find something to
unbelievable.
buy, man. What do you buy? I want to know what you're bullish on. Is there anything you're bullish on? Give me one stock,
One
one,
stock.
one something. I
Dude,
want to hear.
I'm bullish on America, dude. I'm bullish on everything. I'm dude, listen. And you give me one thing I'm bearish on blah blah blah. $2 billion market cap stock, right?
Is blah blah
Yeah.
blah ticker? Let me take a look. What am I bearish on? I'm not. I don't know.
Right, exactly.
I don't
Good,
know.
good. Stay product of the environment. It's all
Uh
good.
huh.
Listen,
Yep.
to be honest with you, I don't trade a lot of stock. I trade basically the top 20 to 30 market cap stocks. So they're really like market stocks. Right now, I'm really focused on thematic global macro. I think there's going to be a big trade in here. I think everybody thinks we're out of the woods and everything. Come on, Eric, we're up every day. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I watch Bloomberg, and the excuses are the same. FOMO. What is FOMO? Just tell. Let's go over before we get near the end of this podcast. I want to understand what FOMO is. FOMO to me is I'm really long a ton of stuff, but my neighbor made 1 million and I only made a half a million. So my FOMO is I need to make as much as my neighbor. So, like, what is FOMO? Everybody's involved in the market, everybody. So, and everybody's long the market. That's what's so crazy about this. Who do you know that's short the market? Really? Like, I'm trying to understand, like, what person, every single person that I know is long AI stocks and tech stocks. They're not long. Did you see like the S&P 500? How can you
Here,
buy
I'm
the
gonna give you.
S&P 500?
I'm gonna give you
The
something to make you
S&P
happy.
500, Eric, the S&P 500 is made up of 8 stocks that make up 40% of the index. I mean, why buy the S&P 500? Just buy those stocks. You save money, you know, and you probably make more. So I'm not understanding, like, you'd have to buy equal weight to get a true return. This is all
Yeah,
high tech.
there's issues. And leverage is also an issue, which you've been. Take a look. Leveraged equity ETFs at record high.
Dude, that's not even anything. The actual margin rates that people are taking margin is at record highs. I don't know how something doesn't happen. I don't know. So whatever. The bottom line is, they came up with a trade deal or I don't know, a framework for a trade deal. This isn't even up on a trade deal. What would we go up on a trade deal? 50 million percent? It would be the greatest thing ever. And then 2 weeks later, Trump would be freaking out that they violated the deal like day three. I mean, like, how are you going to enforce any deal? That's what I don't understand. And where is the deal with all of these other countries that we were supposedly having trade deals with? You know, I don't know. It's just market has an insatiable appetite to buy. I'm just saying be a little cautious, okay? Make sure you have protection in place. And I'm just not understanding, like, today to me is a weird one in the sense that they have a framework for a trade deal, okay? But let me ask you this. You've watched Scott Besson come out of 5 meetings, and what has he said after every meeting? Every meeting. We have a framework for a deal. Great meetings. Great meetings. And then Trump, goes on top of him and says China's the axis of evil. They're the worst. They this, that. I mean, so I don't know how they could have negotiated a full out trade deal in one day. Do you? They
I
literally
don't think
met.
I don't think they negotiated it. I think they came already with the framework put together. I mean, they're not like they weren't discussing it for the first time in Malaysia. You don't think there were talks in the background for the last
Maybe,
few
I'm
weeks?
sure there were, but so what? But nobody even the market is up right now and no one knows what the trade deal is. No one even understands what is involved. No one knows anything. Oh, it involves this, it involves that. No one knows what it is. Okay? And even listen, my
So that could be
question,
an interesting fade. At some point before the Fed
well, let me
comes
ask
out,
you this. Yeah, but let
right?
me ask you this. There's
When we're already
supposedly
on the standard deviation on the day, the straddle is
dude, we
where.
got to stop with the standard deviation. I mean, come on, dude.
Well, I'll try.
Honestly, I
Hard
get
for me
it,
to stop.
Eric. There, we can move 5 standard deviations today. I mean, we could open up and crash. We could open up and continue to rally 2%. Who knows? I mean, the standard deviation doesn't make a heap of
Those
sense.
are excellent for me. Like when I do an out of the money credit spread, for me, I wait until it gets there. Otherwise, I'm trying to like get a lot more premium, like at the money, in the money. But for out of the money, dude, you wait until it gets to one of those levels. If on a macro day, you wait for a full sigma. On a non-macro day, you wait for just like a half, and then you put on the out of the money credit spread. Those are like 91% win rates without doing a damn thing.
Okay. Okay. I'm telling you that we are struggling with our product. So I'm glad you're doing well with your product. We're struggling with our LSP, which is my best product. I don't, I don't, I don't think the risk is there. Um, it's been very, very difficult. You're selling one standard deviation, and a lot of days the market goes up more than that. And you get hurt. So yes, it's a good thing to wait, but it's also not. I don't believe the market is pricing right anything. I will tell you, what's interesting to me right now. The market's up a decent amount, but the puts for tomorrow and Wednesday, I wouldn't really play Wednesday because you have the Fed, but the puts for tomorrow are bid very high, very high. So, you could sell 50, 70, 80 handles lower and take in some money. But the only problem is if we sell off today, I mean, if we sell off today, it's going to be very difficult tomorrow. It's not going to be an easy day because this is priced for more than perfection.
You think the puts for tomorrow are good, like in terms of giving you compensation, like the premium is high. I was looking at them last night
Yeah, yeah.
for
I,
tomorrow. I
I
was
think
looking at
I think
exactly what you
relatively. I think
exactly.
listen. I think relatively yes, especially for what I do, because I put stops in the market and I come in front of this. So if the market happens to sell off 40 points, we'll be short. Even though we're short puts, we will be selling on the way down. So yes, I think they're expensive for what they are, and I think they're easily hedgeable. So I'm very surprised. I'm more surprised that we're at 915, okay, and there is no movement in Nasdaq futures. I mean, it hasn't moved $20 since, who knows when, 4 in the morning. And I don't know what's going on.
Hmm.
With that. So but
You
let's
know,
just
they're teeing it up for the U.S. retail trader to get their shot at the bull run this morning, and I wouldn't be surprised
Wait,
if
you
right at
don't
the
think they missed the shot on a 300 handle move in Qs? I mean, in Nasdaq futures? Okay, I know.
they
Then
gotta
that
get shot in there.
Well, what do you mean? But that throws your whole mantra off. You're saying they're going to come in and buy, okay, which I don't understand, okay. But if they do, then your two standard deviation move is in play or whatever.
Yeah, but it's situational too. You can't just like you can't be rigid
I
about
have,
it.
I have
You can't be
no.
like the fan
I
and just be
listen.
in the box.
I'm just surprised that. So, do you know where the VIX is right now? 15.
Zero.
15. You know where it was a week and a half ago? No, less than a week and a half ago.
It
Literally
was
a
no
week ago, it was 29.90. It's gone in half in 1 week. I mean, that is amazing. I mean, and I don't know why people think everything is done. Everything is so good. Like, what's so good today? I know they have a framework for a deal with China after 8 years of trying to do a deal. They're in the bank right now. Dude, whatever they sign, when they sign it, going to be, is never going to go down. I'm just letting you know it's never going to go down. China is not gonna, they may sign it, they're never gonna do what they say they're gonna do, like the soybean trade. I know, wait, Trump's now gonna get them to buy soybeans 8 years later. I mean, come on, it's absolutely craziness. But anyway, again, we're touching on bonds, they're not doing much. Yields at 401. Currencies are ticking up, dollar weakness slightly, dollar positive against the yen. um, Gold, I still think we're going to see below 4,000. It bounced a little bit. It's down about 90. It's about $40 away from that number. I do think we're going to see that. We're shorting oil on the opening. It's up again. It was down about $1 when I walked in. It rallied. But I do think, that is a trading short. I would do that through options. Um, take a look at ag commodities. I guess they're up because they think China is going to buy soybeans. Um, if that were the case, I think it would be up a little bit more. But my better question to you is how do you implement that? How do you know you're going to make them buy it? How are you going to make them buy soybeans? I'm just curious. How are you going to make them buy them?
Well, with I think the soybeans one is probably the easiest to keep track of because you'll if they start buying soybeans, you'll see it in the calendar spreads real quick.
But why do we need them to buy soybeans? That's what I'm not understanding. Why do we need that? Like, we have good pricing on soybeans, they're fairly priced. Why do we want to drive up the price of soybeans, which corn, wheat, etc.? Why do we want those prices going higher? That's going to cause massive inflation. So I mean, like you said before, beans are, they're not too high, they're not too low, they're perfect. Okay? And a farmer, okay, for people that don't know this, can sell into the futures market. They can go 6 months out, they can go a year out. They know where they're selling their products. So I'm not sure and understand what is going on. Like, what, explain to me what is going on. Like, why do we need them to buy soybeans? I'm just curious to understand it. What's the reason?
Listen, you want to sell your surplus.
Eric, I get it, but you're driving up the price. Okay. You have an artificial buyer that wasn't a buyer at all ever in a market that really can move pretty quickly. And to me, looking at the soybean market, it doesn't feel right. It should be up a lot more if they're actually going to buy soybeans. Okay. You're going to give them your soybeans at freaking 10. That's
Yeah,
not even a high price. I've
I
traded beef
hope
$25.
I I hope the farmers get paid on this deal. They deserve it. They've been
Well, how are they going to get paid? They're only getting paid the futures price. What's the difference? It doesn't matter. What I'm telling you is they sell at the futures price. That's what, where they're selling, and they have crops all the way out. And many, many, many of the farmers are hedged out years, years. They don't like speculate. They freaking produce soybeans and they freaking
yeah,
hedge.
a lot of them do speculate
Why?
because
Why? When
They,
you have
they,
a sure thing, you want to speculate? I would say that people that are producing real do not speculate. Okay. They got millions and hundreds of millions on the line. They're not speculating. Okay. I mean, I don't know who, futures traders are speculating. The reason
listen,
why
up
they're in
until,
the
up
market.
until recently, all these oil companies that are now solid financially, all of them were speculating. None of them were hedged the way that they are now.
Well, they
So
should be. They should
that's the
be.
main right, but they weren't. The
No,
reason they
some of
were
them were, some of them weren't. Some of them
was the
over. Listen,
after
some of them overhedged. Some of them overhedged. Hey, they basically
now,
hedged
yeah,
at $40.
before
They didn't make enough product and they had to go into the futures market and buy futures. Whatever. That's trading since, the early 1900s, okay? That's whatever. But what I'm saying to you is you would think if China is a true buyer of soybeans in size, it would not be at $10, okay? This is an extra low price for soybeans. This is not a high price.
I
This is
said
a
at the
low
beginning
price.
of the pod, dude. I said at the beginning of the pod, soybeans are up, but I wouldn't really chase it. I've seen, you know,
Eric, they're up, but they're a low price in the history of soybeans. So if China is really a true buyer of anything real, that, is unbelievable. But anyway, we're getting close to the opening, 8 minutes. You know, watch the market on the opening. We could fade today, but I would wait for a little bit of weakness. S&P up 50. If it goes up 30, I would think that maybe we have a chance to fail today. But overall, very light trading, maybe by a little volatility because it's so cheap coming into the Fed. But overall, they're very, very bullish on a speculative trade deal of which they don't know anything about. So we'll see how that plays out today. But again, there's an insatiable appetite to buy the market on a daily basis. So
they want the S&P at 7,000.
why
You
seven?
know,
Why not eight? Why not eight? Why not nine?
well,
Why not 10? Why not 11? Why not 12? I mean, come on, dude. Whatever they want it.
they're
And I wanted
reasonable.
and
They
I
need to go
wanted
for it.
it 5,000. Okay. So whatever. They want it there. I want it
No,
there.
you
Whatever.
wanted
Wait,
it. You
wait,
wanted it.
wait a second. And you know what? Only in the US stock market do you get what you want, bro. That's it. They want it there, it's going there. Right. You get what you want. Whatever. It's easy. Dude, you know what it's like? This is no different than the NBA rig, bro. They got little X-ray machines under the market seeing everybody's orders and and it's a complete rig. But I wish everyone luck today. Peace, enjoy, and be safe out there trading. Take care.